All right, we're in. Welcome to another live stream. It is a Sunday. It's been probably a month since our last one. Unfortunately, we've had some scheduling issues, but we are back this week with a vengeance. Alex, welcome back. Josh, good to have you here again as usual. Thank you both for joining me. We've got a pretty fun and interesting fight coming up today that we are going to watch. We're going to get into that in a little while. First of all, we're going to discuss some of the more recent fights. We won't cover everything since our last live stream. We'll just go over this weekend, and we'll touch on last weekend's as well. And after we've done that, we are going to watch a controversial fight from 2009. I believe it is. Yeah. Possibly might have been really Tyson Fury's first and maybe only loss of his career. Maybe. There was a lot of controversy about it at the time. We're going to get into that in a little while, and you can both see for yourself. I know Josh hasn't seen this fight before. Have you seen it, Alex, by chance?
I have not. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying to Josh before we started the stream that I don't properly recall it, but I'm pretty sure it's probably a terrible fight, so it might not be the most the most viewer friendly fight, but we'll see. But it's an interesting one anyway. We'll get into that shortly. And first of all, let's just touch on the events of last night over in the USA in Vegas. We had Saul Canelo Alvarez pretty much doing what he pleased, more or less, against Jamal Charlo. I think we was all expecting a bit of a closer fight, more of a competitive fight. Josh, give us your thoughts on the result last night.
Yeah, I'm in that same neighborhood. Thought it would be a bit more competitive. Of course, from a size perspective, that was always going to be a question as it relates to how Jamel would handle the punches, which I guess when you add things up, he handled them pretty decently. He was dropped in the eighth round, I believe, or somewhere around there. But I think that Canelo showed that his power is indeed real as far as when he's able to dig in with those body shots. Certainly puts certain fighters in retreat. And the story of the fight was that Jermell Charlo was pretty much on the back foot the entire time while Canelo marched forward. Now, Canelo wasn't able to get him out of there. So some may question, hey, whether he still has that type of power or that type of force to stop opponents in a similar capacity to what he was previously doing. But all in all, I think it was a very solid performance from him, a dominant performance. I gave Charlo one round, which I think was consensus with the broadcast as well as others that I've seen commenting on it. I believe that was the fifth round, but outside of that, it was never in question for Canelo. And I don't recall Canelo really being hit with anything that was significant. And he was dishing out pretty much all of the punishment. Now, I do think that Jamel Charlo, he should move back to 154. And that's probably where he's better suited for the time being. Then he'll have to gradually work his way back up. But as of right now, 154 is pretty much where he belongs. And I know in the aftermath of the contest, he said he wanted to fight Terrence Crawford. I would much rather prefer a Tim Zoo fight. I think that's one that brings out the best of both of those guys. Not that the Crawford fight wouldn't. It's just a matter of Tim Zoo. He looks like he will make it a very interesting fight at 154. And we know Crawford has, I guess you can say, unfinished business with Spence. As it relates to Canelo, David Benavidez, nothing else. David Benavidez. And Canelo said that he's down and willing to fight anyone. So we want to see David Benavidez because I think that's going to give him the toughest challenge he can have there at 168 pounds. And I think Benavidez is a live dog, especially thinking about where his strong suits are, which tend to be in the later rounds as he continues to press fighters and eventually break them down for the most part. So it's a good fight. I don't know who wins exactly. I have to mull on it a good bit. I'd be leaning Canelo for sure in terms of just general thought and wisdom behind it. But I don't know because Benavidez, he's bigger. You could argue stronger in some sense. Maybe not as far as that one punch pop, but through attrition, he breaks guys down in dramatic fashion. So we'll see how it goes, though. But those are my thoughts surrounding such.
All right, Alex, give us your thoughts on the performance last night.
So we asked for this fight, what, when they both were at 54, what, 7 years ago, 2016, maybe around that time. 7 years ago. We got in 2023. Two weight classes divide them. And when you saw that fight, is that a fight that we expected? Absolutely not. Was that the fight that we wanted? No. And this was when it was announced. I didn't want this fight. When it was getting closer and closer, I started I started to be more open to it. But I think we just naturally do that because it was being force fed to us, right? Just over and over again. I mean, the fight was happening. You hear all the talking, and then they get in the ring, and Charlo, that was his performance. That was his. This was the fight he's been waiting for. This was the reason why he was calling Canelo out after all these years. That was it. Like I wasted my time, money, my energy into a performance like that. And let's not get it wrong. I'm not gonna act like Canelo did this wonderful job either. He was doing single shots. He was just following him around. And keep it real, he treated it like a sparring session. He literally stood up between each round. I think that fight is a disgrace. I'm disgusted. And honestly, if Charlo doesn't go back down and fight a Tim Zoo or Terrence Crawford, I don't want to hear. I don't care to see him. I'm not gonna pay to see him again. If Canelo doesn't fight, just like Josh said, David Benavides, or okay, I'll be nice. David Benavides Andre winner, I'm not gonna pay. I don't want to waste any more of my dollars or time into watching shit shows. I'm sorry. That was a shit show. That was I don't know, man. To me, I felt like it was a little bit of a black eye for boxing because I'm at a party. There's people there, and they're sleeping. They fall asleep during the fight because of how bad it was. Yeah, Canelo was winning, but did he ever turn on? Did he ever turn the gas on? Did he ever go into third, fourth, fifth gear? No, he was okay with how the fight was going. Obviously, Charlo was okay with the fight. How it was going for him. He never really tried anything, right? I gave him one round. I felt kind of bad. I was like, oh, he landed. Okay, we'll give him that round. You know, you know what I mean. I mean, honestly, when we come to this level of boxing, it's about seeing the best versus the best, right? We want to see competitive fights, or we want to see an excellent performance. Are we always going to get that? No. But this was a fight that no one asked for, and it didn't deliver anything. It didn't give us an extravagant, dominant performance like Terrence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence, and we didn't get a classic like Canelo versus Triple G, 1 and 2. So yeah, I'm very unhappy, very dissatisfied, and yeah, man, very upset that time and money was wasted into that fight.
Okay, an unhappy customer. Well, I guess boxing fans for the most part are unhappy customers, aren't they? Let's face it, with the fights that we don't get, or just everything that goes around getting the fight in the ring in the first place. And it's a shame, like you said, we wasn't exactly enthralled by this fight, but it was forced on us. It was given the big build up, the undisputed versus undisputed and all of that fanfare, which was to try and big up a fight. And I kind of agree with you there, Alex, where Canelo seemed to almost coast, didn't he? He got the knockdown eventually in whichever round it was. I think it was round 7. And that got me a little bit excited, partly because I'd put a bet on him to win a late stoppage from rounds 9 to 12. So I was thinking, yeah, this is good. This is good. He's wearing Charlo down. Maybe it'll last a few more rounds, and then that's it. He should get the job done. And he just seemed to not find that nice combination again for the rest of the fight. He was just happy to coast and make sure he won the rounds. But yeah, I guess it was pretty disappointing. Beforehand, I thought that maybe Jamal Charlo was possibly slippery enough, cagey enough to cause Canelo problems, kind of in the same vein of Billy Joe Saunders was supposed to have been able to do. But he did an even worse job than Saunders did, which wasn't very good either.
Billy, what do you mean? I disagree. I felt Billy Joe was in that fight. I felt that, especially towards the middle rounds,
Well,
he was competitive. It felt like he got into a groove. It just his face got broke.
yeah,
He
yeah, yeah.
took the chances. Charlo did not.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
listen, this undisputed bullshit. I'm sorry, but those things have just turned to props.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are props. Just because you're undisputed doesn't make you one of the best fighters in the world. I'm sorry, because you're unified champion, because you have a belt. Gervonta Tank Davis has a fucking regular belt, and most people see him as the best fighter. Why? Because when he gets in that ring, he takes his time and he gets you the fuck out of there. Canelo's not doing that anymore, and he has 5 belts. Charlo, he had a draw for undisputed. Not Castaño's a very good fighter. I'm not going to say he's not, but even if you watch that second fight, which was a great fight, it wasn't like he was flawless in there. He got the knockout absolutely, but it wasn't flawless. You know, uh, against Rosario, it wasn't a flawless performance, but he got the dude done. See, a guy like Tank Davis, who doesn't really care for the belts, I'm sure he just keeps the belt to make sure his pay is a certain way, and because they always have these things in these contracts when it comes to holding a major belt or whatever, But at the pace he fights, he's getting dudes out of there, and the Ryan Garcia fight was desired. Whether you think it was close on skills or not, it was desired. How do we know? Because we saw it for what 1-2 years. It was always talked about. It was something that brought the masses together, and you were excited watching that fight, regardless that they didn't throw many punches and it wasn't the most sizzling fight. Back and forth action. You were on, the end of your chair, wondering each shot, is that the one to hurt him? Is that the one to change the fight? Is that the one to end the fight? There was nothing like that during this fight, and that's why I'm disgusted. And yeah, it's just not fair to boxing. People. I've been told that it's me. I'm the problem right now with boxing. I'm the one stopping the growth. No, to have a $20 million gate, charging that amount to go to an event where people only come for the main event. I mean, look at that arena. It was empty until maybe somewhere in the co-main event. But for that, for the, like I said, the amount of money, the expenses it takes to hold these parties, to go to Vegas, to maintain yourself, to the people pulling in extra work overtime to go ahead into these events, and for that to be the fight that people are putting all their energy and resources in, sham.
All right.
I can co-sign that. I just want to say I can certainly co-sign that, especially when you want to charge $85 for the pay-per-view in itself. You do expect something to be different than those fights that are not on pay-per-view, that are maybe on some of the premium networks or what you could consider the national free networks in some sense. So to charge people those pay-per-view prices, which have continued to rise, and we're continuing to see even more and more of them, I think that is certainly something that is a stain in the sport of boxing. And especially when you have streaming platforms like The Zone, who pretty much sold themselves on them being the end of major fights on pay-per-view.
Let's not get started on that one. In fact, they cut out last night for the entirety of round 3, and there was about a 10-second blip before that. I can't remember if it was in the fight before, or whether it was it must have been the fight before. So yeah, that was not very good on the Zone's part, but at least that one wasn't a the Zone pay-per-view event for us in the UK at least. But it is part of the the new package, which has been up in prices for a while, which isn't great. Okay, so what about the undercard then? Because I mean, ahead of last night, you look at the fights, and there's 3 decent quality matchups on there. Unfortunately, I happened to see Ramos versus Lubin, was it, which wasn't very good, and I was already very tired because instead of having a nap and waking up, I decided to stay up throughout and try and watch the whole thing.
Power through.
I was flagging, man. I was flagging. I was having a coffee at 3:30 in the morning, trying to stay awake. And then there was a crazy decision at the end of it, was it? Alex, give us your thoughts on that one.
You know how that card started. You know those first two fights, I thought they were very engaging. Great papers. Great fights on paper to make. And then when you saw this fight as the co-main event, which I felt Ugas Barrios should have been co-main event just based off their merit and who they faced and whatever. But this was a great fight. You know, huge ramifications for the junior middleweight division. You know, another guy. And this guy is probably going to be seen as the one to challenge, to be in line to challenge. You know, Jermel or Tzu or vacant belt, whatever the case may be. And yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be an exciting fight. I picked Ramos to win by stoppage. I know Lubin's quality, and I just felt that he could get dragged in a dogfight, and he didn't. Ramos had a great start, was putting Lubin's back to the ropes, hitting him to the body, throwing in combination to the body, which is always such a huge plus. You would expect him to wear Lubin down, and I don't know if Ramos started cruising or the pace and skill was causing him to be drained of energy. But I got to give it to Lubin. Great jab, picked his spots really well. Need to throw more combinations himself because when he did great work. Kevin Cunningham was really trying to press him to do such. You know, 1-2, right hook, uppercut. You know, he's telling him constantly, you got to follow up to that jab because the jab was landing. I had it a draw. I am in the minority. I feel I've been told, and that's okay. I just felt the commentary we had here in the States was ignoring that jab that was landing during all the lulls of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't giving him much credit. But I don't think it was a bad fight. It wasn't very engaging. That's my word of the day. I think when it comes to fights. I felt that they both had such great qualities that it was offsetting each other to really go for it. And that's what happens sometimes when you get these guys that are the top level, but maybe are unsure of certain things. Lubin, maybe his chin, his ability to take on someone as tall as strong as Ramos, and Ramos never facing a guy of this quality. So unfortunately, it wasn't the best TV. I don't think stock should fall for Ramos because he was on the possible wrong end of the decision. But also, I do want to point out, even though I was okay with Lubin winning, I am not okay with 117, 111 because that means you had to find like what 3 swing rounds that you just all gave to Lubin, and that's unfair to the fight. That's unfair to Ramos, and that's unfair to Lubin because now, even though that he got the decision, it's most everyone's saying robbery, controversial, and basically he's not going to deserve. He doesn't deserve to be in the spot he is, or deserve to be in the next fight. According to it being viewed as it is controversial and or robbery.
Yeah, that was the outcry on Twitter. I wasn't paying full attention to that fight. To be honest, I was trying to just stay awake. That was eating up concentration, and so I was doing a lot of looking around on Twitter and stuff. And that seemed to be, when the scores were read out, the commentary seemed to be sure of the result for Ramos, and then when the scores are being read and then the winner announced, I think it took me like about maybe 10 seconds to realise, oh, actually, they just announced Lubin won, not Ramos. I was just totally lost, and then I went to Twitter and everyone was kind of doing the same thing. So yeah, quite interesting. I did actually put in the scores that the judges put out onto our system. Maybe we can have a look into that at some point. And I think that the judges always only agreed on 2 rounds out of 12. Like as a unanimous or something along the line. So it shows you that there's lots of swing in there, potentially. But yeah, Josh, did you have any thoughts on that particular fight?
Yeah, not a ton to add other than I know I was in the same neighborhood as Alex. I thought that Ramos would eventually break Lubin down and win the contest. I was actually at a birthday event last night, so my attention wasn't 100% dialed into the fight, and I didn't have sound or anything of that nature on. But from what I saw, I thought maybe Ramos looked to be the more I guess, I thought he was winning the fight. I would say it's hard to really throw a lot of actual commentary towards the exact nature by which, but he seemed to be doing a bit more there when I was looking at it. But hey, that could have been the earlier rounds, as Alex was mentioning. So, having seen some of the other stuff that Alex has scored, then I'd imagine, yeah, he was looking at it with a thorough lens. So, it was probably closer to what he saw than what I can surmise just from kind of glancing in at points and not being able to be dialed in for each round. But certainly, I expected Ramos to win. I certainly expected him to win, and he would have made for a very interesting fight with, Zoo versus Charlo. Not that Lubin won't, but a lot of miles on the road, or the, what do you call it, barometer, or whatever it may be for Lubin. He has a lot of mileage as far as fights in hard press contests. So it'll be interesting just to see how he capitalizes off of this and whether he's going to actually get a title shot.
Hmm. Just while you were talking there, I just got up our system. It's on the screen now. Because I did import the judging round by round scores. We can see there the three totals. I mean, John McHale wasn't too far off the outrage scorecard, which a lot of people was complaining about. If you take their average round by round kind of majority rules, it would be 116 to 112 for Lubin. So they're all in that direction. But you see there on the third line down where there was only unanimous in 4 of those rounds and splitting 8 between the 3 judges. So I guess it kind of goes to show that that there was a lot of string rounds and there was close rounds as well. So just a nice feature of our system to highlight. Might as well get it out there. So what the fight before that on that card? Sorry, boys, I've just lost my earpiece. Was who was it?
The fight before that was
Ugas and Barrios, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Give us some thoughts on that, Josh.
Well, it was a good little action fight. Probably a bit more action than, I won't say I expected, but I thought that Ugas would control things a bit more. But hey, I got to give it to Barrios. He has made that move to 147. He looked pretty good. He looked bigger than I knew he was a big 140 pounder, but he looked bigger than I thought he would there next to Ugas, and I think it showed up in the fight in itself. And for Ugas, I think this is that kind of turning point where he's leaning more towards the opponent side of things than a guy I can see in real contention to take one of those titles again. But yeah, from the fight in itself, both had their moments, but the big punches seemed to be landed by Barrios, and he is younger, fresher coming into the contest, and he seems to continue to be getting a bit better. And he's filled into 147 pretty well. For Ugas, I was wondering leading up to the contest how his eye would hold up, the right eye specifically, that was essentially closed shut in that contest with Errol Spence in his last time out. And it looks like, as I had some type of worries for, that eye is most certainly a problem now, and I think it will continue to be a problem for the remainder of his career. So he's at that stage where he's going to have to start thinking about what he wants to do as far as marching forward with, the landscape being tough as far as getting to a title, and the fact that he has an issue with his eye that I think isn't going to go away. So many thoughts, many decisions, etc. for Ugas. But as far as Barrios, I like to see him in there with someone else there at the top end of 147 pounds. Who that is specifically, not sure, but maybe a guy like Imantes Stanionis. I think that would be a pretty good action fight right there.
Yeah, good call, Alex.
Coming to the fight, honestly, I had Barrios. I felt that with his youth, activity, which I don't think he was the most active, but more active than Ugas. Plus, Ugas being up there in age, his inactivity, off an injury, it's going to be a tough fight for him. I really enjoyed the way Barrios fought when he had, I'm sorry, when he was across from Giovanni Santiago. I saw that he showed a lot of well-roundedness, and I feel that him and Bob Santos have they seem to be clicking. So I was picking Barrios by decision, which did come to be. I did not see those two knockdowns coming around, and I felt that that fight definitely could have been stopped. That eye was really bad.
Yeah.
It was closed, and towards that last round, he kept popping out that mouthpiece. I mean, I swear you could have counted when the mouthpiece went down out the second time. You could have counted that as a landed punch. That thing came out like a missile, a Cuban missile, huh? So, anyways, yeah, great performance by Barrios. Getting knocked out by Tank. People were trying to discredit it, and look how that fight is. Look how that is aging. Barrios has now cemented himself as a top 10 welterweight, I believe, with a performance like that. And yeah, I think number one would probably be Cody Crowley. I think someone with a pace like that. I'd like to see how Barrios would attack that. Then Stanionis, yes, I love it. Another guy. He has the interim. Stanionis has the world, which will be probably be the top title shortly, depending what happens with Crawford and Spence. And I want to throw this one out there too, even though I think yeah, I think Crowley would be his best chance to win. Stanionis, I probably favor Stanionis a bit, but in activity, that is
Mhm.
not his fault.
Right.
And then, of course, the big bad wolf, I think, Jerron Boots Ennis, which will be the toughest matchup for him. Why not? Interim versus interim, soon to be elevated, both possibly. Let's get to it. I think, with him fighting a Thurman, him fighting a Tank, it'll be a great, great, great challenge to see how Boots will be able to do it compared to those guys and coming out that performance. So yeah, man, PBC, whatever the rumors are with your broadcaster, let's get this fight going before anything happens.
Yeah, I think I tweeted at some point last night saying that I think Boots could have his way with both of those if he fought those. Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. There's some interesting matches for sure, definitely in those in and around those weight divisions. But those guys that aren't the tippy top are the ones that are on the way up. So yeah, interesting.
Hey,
What's
yeah,
Go
that's a
ahead.
good one. Real quick, Alex, was that a reference to some things I've seen out there that Showtime is getting out of the boxing game at some point after 2024? You seen that?
Yeah, yeah, people have been talking about it, but until we get, I think for me, until we get an official statement from someone that we really know,
Yeah,
someone that's actually in and around there, and I'm not going off of Eddie Hearn. I'm not going to go off of some guy with a check mark on Twitter. I'm not
right.
going to go off of anything like that. I need to hear from Unfortunately, if a Dan Rayfield said it, I think I'd put some real steam behind it. Or
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: Espinosa was seen very non-committal to verifying it specifically. So I think there is some truth to it. I think most likely you probably won't see Showbox anymore, and possibly that contract does end with Showtime Boxing, or just boxing, or just Showtime Sports, through 2024. So I guess time will tell.
All right then. Is there anything else on that particular event that you wanted to discuss, either of you? Or shall we
I mean,
just
the
move?
opener was cool. Elijah Garcia, young 160 pounder, 20 years old. He defeated Armando Resendez, who
Mm-hmm.
24 years old himself, defeated Jerry Hurd, which obviously it doesn't listen, just because Jerry Hurd was a former unified champion, he got beat by a guy, doesn't mean he's better because someone else his best victory is an unknown contender that was undefeated, right? You see that. Skills pay the bills, man. If you don't have the eye, you won't know who's gonna win or what you're seeing or why a fighter beat this fighter and such. Jerry Hurd, gave us great moments. At 154 pounds, he was, I don't know if he's still fighting, but he was at 160, coming off a loss to this unknown Resendez, and got stopped due a cut. So that didn't make Resendez all of a sudden this real player at 160. It means he
Mm-hmm.
beat a guy named Jared Hurd, who used to be a quality fighter Like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect, but it's just truth. And shout out to Elijah Garcia. Would like to see how they move him. I think I'd rather keep him more of a prospect than contender because he is young, 20 years old, and still has a lot more growth. So yeah, let's see how it all plays out.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's move things on. We're already, time's passing by really quick. I'll do a quick shout out to some new names that I've seen in the chat. There's one with Sources joined us. Thank you for stopping by. Good to see you. Good to see Boz as usual. Always here. Mr. Paz has just dropped in as well. Thank you for stopping by and joining us today. We're going to get onto our fight very, very soon. But before we do, let's quickly touch on last weekend. Dile Zhang repeated his feat, but he did an even better job this time. He smashed Joyce to pieces in 3 rounds. After a KG opener, he found his shots and he could not miss the face. Josh, give us some thoughts and opinions on that from last weekend, mate.
On the 86 Boxing channel, I have a video that I did back in the tail part of 2021 called The Curious Case of Zili Zhang. It was at the time, I was just looking into the fact that this was an older Chinese heavyweight, older by the standards of at least when he turned pro. And we hadn't really seen a Chinese heavyweight, though we don't technically see a ton of just Chinese fighters at that world level in general. But we haven't seen a Chinese heavyweight and one that had real expectations or anything of that nature for title contention. And I thought he was in a very curious and interesting place. Fast forward to now, I do need to do a part 2 to that video because he's answered whatever questions I had as far as what he's capable of doing here at this level. And I think the fact that he was able to be the guy to finally put a dent in the Juggernaut's cap or helmet in their first fight, and now he pretty much just knocked it completely off in this second contest. I think that shows that he's a legitimate heavyweight out there and a legitimate threat to all of the other heavyweights as far as I'm concerned. And it's not just because I feel that it's some flash in the pan bandwagon type thing. He's really skilled. You can see that he knows how to put his punches together. The story in that first fight was that left landing to Joyce's right eye. And of course, Joyce made an adjustment I think none of us had ever seen as far as him actually moving his head. And you know what? Zhang said, I'm going to loop in this right hand. And when he was connecting, even prior to landing the punch that ended thing, it was actually moving Joyce, who is a huge dude. So both of these guys were huge, but he was moving Joyce back, something we really hadn't seen to that degree. And as we were discussing their gym here prior to the actual broadcast, I think it eventually became a revelation, at least for Joyce, that, hey, I'm just in there with a guy who is a better fighter than I. And he took the loss well. I think that he certainly, handled himself accordingly, just given what was on the table and what he had to deal with. And for Zhang, I want to see him in there with whomever there on the top end of the heavyweights, and I think he's a legitimate threat. He's a decorated amateur. He's older, of course, but he doesn't have as much wear and tear there at heavyweight because he's been able to do a lot of damage and get a lot of guys out of there in some of the earlier fights in his career. Now, realistically, we did get the notice that Usyk and Fury are gonna fight. So something I've seen thrown out there, and I'd sign up for is a rematch with Philip Hrgovic, and I'll take it. So maybe that's next. Maybe it's something else, but I do think that Zhang arrived, and he arrived in a major way for those that hadn't taken notice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the fight against Hrgovic was kind of close enough and controversial enough to warrant that rematch, wasn't it? Alex, do you have any thoughts on that and for both Joyce and Zhang? What next?
Yeah, I got to say, I was quite surprised when we saw the weigh-in, and man, both of them came in super heavy, like
Mm.
280s, I believe, both of them. So, I was a little unsure, because I felt Joyce came in probably too heavy, but I was really surprised when Zhang came in at 287. I thought maybe they come in, I thought he'd come in about 280. You think, oh, just 9 pounds, but still, or 7 pounds it was. If you never fought at a weight before, you just don't never know how your body's going to react. And well, I guess Zhang is really strong at 287 because my gosh, uh, what a knockout. They talked about Joyce having 5 times the bones density of a normal human being. Well, shit, 7 times to withstand that shot. So shout out to Zhang. Like you said, 2021. I saw him fight live over here in Miami in the Canelo undercard, and he came out hot and dropped Jerry Forrest 3 times and kind of burnt out. They said it was because of COVID, um, and he was dehydrated and such. And to me, you hear those things like fucking excuses. But since then he's performed at a high level. Like you said, the Herkovich fight, close, seen as controversial. I remember I think I had him winning by 1 round. I mean, sorry, one point. I had a scored 6-6, and he scored the knockdown.
Yeah,
So yeah, run that back.
then that's what I
If
had.
not, let's say if not, it's perfect time to run it back. If not, let's get an AJ fight. Listen. Heavyweight is deep. There's plenty of guys to do it. There's always going to be some good matchups to make, especially over there with the European fighters. European guys seem to be very high quality heavyweights. So Zhang's got options. Let's keep it going. I don't want to see a year out the ring. I just say Zhang has done that, but we see that too often here. And I just want to, Zhang. I believe he trains out of Jersey, or at least he lives in New Jersey, something like that. So man, let's keep these great matchups because that was a great performance, and it was a great performance the first time against Joyce. With
Yeah,
Joyce, I'm not sure what to do with him next. Take some time off, heal, and decide. If you're not performing well in sparring, maybe it's time to 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 let the top level go, or just give it up. But I mean, if you can do it, come back. We want to see quality fights, plenty of matchups.
yeah. I think.
Hey, and,
Go
and
ahead,
Jim, I
Josh.
just want to say real quick, and I know Alex alluded to it as far as the rumors of a potential AJ fight, and especially if it's Zhang versus AJ in China, I think that would be a historic fight. Of course, just for the fact that we're seeing a top level Chinese heavyweight, but I'd imagine it would probably do some massive numbers there in China. So I'd be interested in seeing how that goes because we know that they have some form of a fan base, and they've had
Mhm.
guys like Lu Shiming and some others, Zhu Khan, who have been top level guys to a degree, but the level of this fight, the magnitude of such, and all the media behind it, I'd be interested to see how many people will show up for that fight there in China.
Didn't they say like 10, 15 million watched his first fight with Joyce? It was like something crazy.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, obviously vast numbers of Chinese people. So even just fractions of a percentage of their population is millions and millions of people, isn't it? So,
Right.
so yeah, it brings a lot of eyes to the sport. Really, they do. It's the same with snooker. Snooker's a popular sport in the UK. You
Mm.
guys might not all know what it is, but
I
it's
heard
it's
of it.
it's it's huge in.
Certainly not checking for it.
You see it on the drone.
It's huge in China, so that brings millions of eyes from China, and there's quite a few decent Chinese players. But it'd be a similar thing with boxing. It would add millions of people being interested in it. A couple of thoughts on from myself from that one though, Alex. So you mentioned that if Zhang could get him back out there and quick, he doesn't have time on his hands either. Really, he's 40 years old already, so they can't mess around. Um, it would be good to see him in with those upper echelons of fighters, and like I say, there's plenty of decent fights to be made up there. So it would be interesting to see going forward. I'm not sure how many would be too willing to get into the ring with him. That could be one of the issues because I don't think there'd be many volunteers. Um, and yeah, with Joyce, it's a tough one because he said straight away afterwards, I think that he wasn't going to retire, he'd be coming back, but he needs to figure out where he'd be happy to fight because he's going to have to be satisfied with coming down to like a Euro or British level fights for the time being, and try and try and raise back up again. But again, you know, he's not got time on his hands either because he's 37, 38 years old now. But hopefully, you know, whatever he decides to do, he has some success because he's a nice guy, Joyce. I do like him as a person. He seems like a nice guy. So yeah, interesting to see what happens, and hopefully we'll hear something in the not too distant future, and we will discuss that further as that time comes by. All right. There's a lot of chat in our chat, which is great, on the live stream chat on YouTube. Thank you everyone that's joining and taking part. We are going to move on to our scoring, watch and score section now. So we are going to tune into, off the back of the announcement this week that Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk are going to fight for the undisputed heavyweight title. Let's not get too excited just yet. It's been announced, and that is all. But yeah, off the back of that, I thought it'd be quite interesting to look back at an early Tyson Fury fight from back in September 2009. He was 7-0, I think, at this stage. He'd been on TV from maybe his second or third bout, I think I can remember. A little bit of hype around him on these small hall shows, and this one was on Sky Sports. It was for the English title, I think, and the holder of that was John McDermott, who was kind of a bit of a journeyman, I think, at this point. He'd had a couple of losses, but he was a capable fighter, a decent British level fighter. And looks can sometimes be deceiving because you look at him and don't think he's much of a fighter, but he was actually quite surprisingly quick, and he had pretty decent boxing skills for quite a large man, as you'll see in a moment. So yeah, this was a massively controversial fight at the time, and it's interesting just to go back, knowing what we know now of the career that Tyson Fury's had. Maybe if this was an actual loss on his record, would he have had that same trajectory as he went on and gone on to accomplish everything that he has done? Interesting to think about it in that way. So just before we do make a start, I will quickly just mention, if you're not familiar with our system and what we're doing here, we are scoring this fight on our platform at fight-score.com. In there you can create boxing groups. We have a scoring group for these live streams. You need to be a registered member to be part of the scoring group. So if you go into that URL that's on screen, fight-score.com/register, sign up. It's a very quick process. You can then go into the group section and you can join a group using a code, and the code is on there, FSYT22. Once you're in there, you'll have access to the group section. You'll see the live stream group, which is our group. And in there, you'll see all of our scorecards for every fight that we've all scored. So as we start scoring this fight, our scores will be in there, updating live real time. And we'll be able to compare and contrast our scores. We can see our average scorecard. We can see more detailed breakdowns of the round by round analysis as well. It's all very technical. If you need to get to the actual scorecard for this fight that we're going to watch now, I think someone linked it into the chat earlier, but it might have gone. Josh, will you be able to post that link again, please? That'll be in the chat. It's also in the video description. And if you are trying to find it on the actual website, if you go into events, it's on the top of page 72. At least it is on mobile. So you should be able to tap into there, and then you can generate your scorecard. Okay. I think that's all set. Are you excited, boys?
Indeed.
Overwhelmed.
Don't all talk at once. All right, let's get going.
For this fascinating crossroads encounter for the English heavyweight title, John McDermott won it with a blood of Pele.
So I've unfortunately had to forward on from the ring walks, but Tyson Fury was coming down the steps, because this is a small little venue. He was coming down them steps that you can see to the left somewhere, and he was having a dance and a sing song.
Brentwood Center in Essex, so it's kind of like a hometown fight for John McDermott.
Yeah, I think he'd had a few fights there. But you'll see, they come out swinging. Absolute scrap.
Look at Tyson looking slim and trim in
Yeah,
there.
he is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fun to
All
see.
that hair.
I think this is. I'm not sure if it's this fight or the rematch. I'm fairly sure it's the fight against John McDermott, where it's the notorious gif of Tyson Fury uppercutting himself. I think it might be against John McDermott, if I'm not mistaken.
I hope it's this one.
I'm not sure if it is this one or not.
I want to see it.
But yeah, there's no messing around here. Straight into it. I think John McDermott always came to fight.
Right, McDermott had landed a pretty solid right hand a little bit ago.
Yeah, seriously. Tyson Fury standing straight and tall, just like Jordan Thompson did yesterday.
Oh.
Right, yeah, we have to talk about that one at the end.
Oh yeah, sorry guys, I forgot about that one. We'll discuss that after.
Oh, I can understand you not wanting to mention such.
So I think, if memory serves me well, Fury hadn't had much of a problem up until this point. Obviously, first 6 or 7 fights in with, people that are not really going to throw much back to him. So this might be a bit of a wake-up call.
He came in 7-0, 7 knockouts. But like you said, McDermott, he has a bad record himself. 25 wins, 16 by stoppage, 5 losses. Not terrible losses.
Yeah.
I mean, he fought some decent names: Danny Williams, Audrey Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, you can see as well. He's got some, some boxing ability to him. He's, fundamentally, he's not too bad.
Still left alone.
Oh, big uppercut.
This is crazy. This is way different than the Fury we know today.
Certainly.
Very unpolished.
Oh,
there you go. Nice jabs.
Cracked him straight through. Yeah, commentator just says they're in a fight for the first time. Keeping the head in.
Round.
Yeah, you can tell Fury has certainly improved.
Kicking off at the bell.
At least they're going at it. That's what I'm talking about.
Jim Watt on commentary. Reminds me of the good old days. Friday fight nights. So, who won that round? If you're watching along and you're scoring, let us know in the chat what your points are. So you can see there at the end, Fury left his head in.
Ref had homie in a damn headlock. Don't do that to Fury.
Second round, the blue and white of John McDermott, the black of Tyson Fury, and
Terry O'Connor, notorious referee and judge. Well, you might see at the end of this.
Okay. Now, yeah, is he judging it or is it?
Yeah, this is a referee judge.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I saw this fight was the BBBFC English heavyweight title.
Yep.
Oof, Jesus. Oh, is that an elbow?
Uppercut went in.
how will Fury react if he's facing a man who can take his punches? Nothing wrong with McDermott's chin.
Good jabs there from Fury.
Absolutely. There were personal problems going into the Skelton fight. It's the only time it's ever happened. He showed a good chin against Danny Williams. Well, that was a full-blooded right hand from Fury. He's taken it and he's still walking forward. Fury
See, this fight is already better than I remember, so this is good. I
Oh,
couldn't remember whether it was like a bit of
Ooh.
a boring hug fest or
Ooh,
they're having a fight
already
in
better
there.
than Canelo Charlo.
yeah, right. McDermott is showing that hey, he's not afraid to march forward regardless of what's coming back.
I did tweet that earlier. So, you know, if people want to see a competitive fight, come on to the stream today.
McDermott can't miss with that right hand. Seems like he's really waiting for Fury to do, throw that jab, and he's countering over the top with it. He's putting steam on him. Mhm. Okay, an actual watching of the mouthpiece we saw last night that the referee didn't give a shit about doing that, but I mean we know why. I mean I feel like I knew why because he knew Ugas was doing it on purpose, which is
Yeah.
why he took a point as well. Oh my god!
No, Fury with a shot to the back of the head.
Wait, this Fury's jab looks really nice, but he's not really always landing it. Seems that before a little earlier in the round he was doing it from too close.
Yeah. There are spells where he gets the right distance, and as long as McDermott doesn't like pressure him, he can box him. But then McDermott steams forward and it's free for all.
Keep in mind, Tyson Fury, even though he's balding, 21 years old. You can see it right at the top. Like me, to wear a hat.
Hey, he went quite a few years with the hair till he went bald. I think he might have been for the Klitschko fight the first time he shaved it all off.
Hey, protect yourself at all times.
Yeah,
The government's like, nah, I don't really think it's this.
like the intensity of this fight from both guys.
Like I mentioned earlier, man, Fury with the jab is, it's been looking good, but man, McDermott is landing the more telling blows.
Yeah, man.
Indeed, that right
Definitely.
hand has been pretty impressive.
Get straight into round 3 here, so quick scores. We'll keep it going. I remember at the time, again, I say don't judge a book by its cover, but you look at McDermott and you don't think he's going to be able to, keep up that stamina for a while. But he was very good. I think he was always really good stamina-wise, considering, the size of him. He's a bit of a fleshy fighter rather than a muscular one, isn't he? So he's very deceptive.
You can see Fury has a very sloppy right hand. It's more like a chopping kind of brings doesn't shoot it, kind of just brings it forward. Just tries to hit you with it. Oh, that was a good right hand though. You see, right here, he should just be jabbing. It's gonna be really. I mean, the guy's gonna have to step in and hit him with the right hand. So if you keep that jab and, you know what I'm saying, take a little step, should be fine. But it seems like he doesn't have that in his arsenal right now with his footwork, kind of keeping his, kind of like his knee straight to the more athletic position.
Quick salute to Resclo 222. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, you can tell that when Fury's working behind that jab, as mentioned, he is pretty effective with it. At least at this point.
Man, seriously, just the right hand, it just seems always near the target, no matter what. Fury's just not dealing with it very well.
Good uppercut there, though.
I thought that uppercut was going to be the one. Right to his own noggin.
He's just waiting for it now.
Hey, jab to the body. This is the first time. Man, drove him back with the right, huh?
And a good jab back from him, the Essex man.
Just marauding forward, isn't he?
Sloppy work.
We cannot wait for that next weekend. There's some English business to take care of here. John McDermott defending that heavyweight title against Tyson Fury.
Oh,
He's talked the talk. Can he walk
straight
the
into
walk?
it.
It's been a better start for McDermott all round.
Well, you have to believe that Fury's plan must have been to keep this at long range. He hasn't been able to do that. There's the right hand again for McDermott. And again.
Having success with that shot, John
Man,
McDermott.
what is the corner saying to Tyson?
For the confidence
Whatever it is,
to be there.
it ain't working.
Needs to be walking forward with the jab, but he's backing off. And if the jab lands, McDermott is able to come right through it.
Yeah, McDermott is here to scrap. Not a ton of finesse. He's just a scrappy fighter.
Keep coming.
And who attempts to rough him up when they get close.
I'm really surprised.
Man,
the
he-
ease with which McDermott is getting home in the
McDermott's really throwing some blows as well, man.
Fury's taken them well, but not defending well.
Yeah, and Fury was trying to counter and rebound, throwing shots off balance. Certainly a far cry from the fighter we see today.
Hits a pattering with the jab, Fury. Just looks at his corner. Touched his
Help me,
shoulder
corner.
at times, and again he walks into some meaty blows from McDermott.
See, McDermott's punching in this round is the quality. Well, they both come in tonight with a plan in mind, and McDermott is the one.
Yeah, Mr. Pad's just said in there, the chat, he remembers most people having this a draw and McDermott win very controversial. That's it, man. That's why we're watching it.
Body shots from Fury, but back comes McDermott. Frank Maloney, his promoter.
I feel like every time Fury maybe lands like two, decent shots, McDermott just lands a super clean right.
Yeah.
Body shot from
Like offsets it a lot of times.
Fury's body shots have been good considering such a tall man. But the quality headshots coming from McDermott with a couple of body shots of his own.
And again, Jim, a glance to the corner from Tyson Fury.
Yeah, Fury's improved a lot, obviously, since this was probably a perfect learning fight for him, to be fair.
We're having a great battle here.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's displeased with the referee breaking the action. I don't know, but Stuart, we're going to have to sort that out. See, McDermott can get the thumping power into the shots close up, where Fury needs a little bit of room to get them off.
You see a good deal of holding from Fury as well, I think, especially in this round.
Few and far between, though.
Probably needs a rest.
McDermott.
This is a pretty relentless pace, isn't it, for heavyweights?
Well, good response from Fury, but that's
That was a quick round.
McDermott, scrappy.
Right, we'll take a quick pause. Take a quick pause. This will be interesting to see. Let's have a look at some scores. Oh my word. I don't know what Boz has been doing. He's been creating scorecards for fun by the looks of it. So, yeah, he's making it look busy.
Vaz is trying to
Appreciate that.
skew the statistics.
Yeah. Okay,
Those
I'm
are
going.
his cousins, okay? They just all have the same name.
Yeah, I'm going to compare your two scorecards. You both come to the same 37-39, so that is 3 rounds
Interesting.
to 1. But it looks like you're going about it in different ways, which is always nice to see. So rounds 1 and 2, you both gone for McDermott. Round 2, you had exactly the same. And on round 3, Josh went for Fury and Alex gave it to McDermott. And then the opposite way around in that last round. Good body work from Fury. That was Alex's reason for the last round. Very nice. I've got it. What have I got it? I've got it 4-0. So, yeah. I took the best of both of yours for the last 2 rounds and merged it. So there we go.
No Manchester bias from you. It's a good thing.
Yeah, always stay impartial. I mean, I can't remember whether I was a Tyson Fury fan at this stage or not. I don't think I was really. I think, he was a bit too brash and cocky.
I first heard about Fury a couple years later after this, and I remember the big talk was him, David Price. David Price basically pushed Fury off of the England team, from what I remember hearing, into Ireland for a little bit. He just couldn't beat him. It's funny how things turned out, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like, how is he able to do that against someone with that reach and height? Very bad look. And those are super clean. That was a super clean double jab.
Can't sleep on McDermott in there for sure.
Tyson Fury's manager right now is pulling his hair out. Oh my God. Super easy to score so far.
Yeah.
He came in, Jim, tonight, McDermott, from the opening bell, looking the boss.
You can see the way he walked into the ring with both hands in the air.
And just to put you at ease, Alex, it wasn't McDermott he uppercutted himself against, unfortunately. So you concentrate on your scorecard instead of looking for an uppercut that doesn't exist.
I have to say, Adam, I'm not in the least disappointed in Fury's work. I mean, he's really given it a go. He's tried to answer everything McDermott's thrown at him. Another jab from McDermott, followed by the hook.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit more sloppy now. I think they're both tiring a bit. It has been a pretty frantic pace for them first 4 rounds.
500 pounds in there, man.
Some big boys.
Again, so far in this round, the cleaner work coming from McDermott. Sloppy overall, but as far as both of them when they're in there tied up, but McDermott has been able to land fairly clean.
Consistently.
I think it also deceives you the actual size of these guys purely because the referee's just as fucking massive. Look at it. They're all big men in there. He wound up and uppercut there.
With
3 heavyweights.
Yeah, Terry O'Connor's a big man himself.
But he has to find the composure to sustain the pressure. And in front of him, a man who is refusing to wilt.
Well, I think McDermott has obviously found confidence in the two battles.
A lot of hugging this round. Jeez. Fury's like, yo, I don't want to eat that jab again.
Right hands which he can handle. So he's confident he can take what Fury's got. Jab
Ooh, precision jab.
The bigger man, remember the 9-inch difference in Fury's favour. And McDermott getting home with some.
Touch of gloves there, bit of respect.
Interesting.
40% success ratio at
Wow.
the halfway stage.
Look at that
Terrific. Who would have
punch stats.
definitely a newfound confidence in his work. The fact that he can out-jab a man with such a reach advantage just shows the technique that he has.
Literally, the counter left hook has been there every time McDermott jabs. I mean, he literally, puts back his right hand, but I guess this is not in his arsenal at this time.
Another one right over the top. We've got a Jim Watt scorecard there. He's given every round apart from 2 to McDermott. Don't think any of us gave round 2 to Fury.
Oh,
did
this
we?
is a 10-rounder.
Yes, 10-round fight, this one. For the
Interesting.
English
Which
title.
is good because we talked up that first hour.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah,
It's a little
Buzz.
frustrating because you just feel Fury just takes a step back, works off the jab, throws 1-1-2s, ones. Be pretty easy.
Well, I think he learnt a lot from this fight because they had a rematch. Not sure if it was right away. I think it might have been a few fights later.
Yeah, it was like 3-4
Yeah.
3-4
McDermott smiled
fights
over
later.
100 rounds for this, most notably with David Price.
McDermott was coming off of back-to-back
In the amateurs,
fights against what's his name?
Paul Smith, the
Hold up, I had it written down.
challenger, in a few
Mhm.
weeks' time was telling me
Danny Williams.
Danny Williams, I was going to say. Sorry.
Yeah, majority decision, split decision. So, you know, he was still at a good level, especially domestically.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was before Danny Williams was. Well, he's still going now, isn't he? Unfortunately.
Yeah, few years before Danny Williams, knocked out Mike Tyson.
Yeah, he was decent.
Fought Vitaly Klitschko right after that.
trying to keep
Oh,
a
yeah.
swaggering appearance up. He's a nice guy, despite all the bravado and the boast, and a good jab there. Is he coming back into it?
Well, this is what he must do. He must find himself some room.
It's been a quieter round, and I think that's been
McDermott's
to
been in top
Fury's
order
favor.
from the opening bell. So either has to move forward with strong punches.
Yeah, I think he's probably controlled more of the round, but it's like you say, the shots that do land and the ones that McDermott lands, the ones that are the eye-catching ones.
Sustaining his work too, which is a
Mhm.
good sign, Fury. He's been
It's
spotted.
definitely a McDermott crowd too.
Hmm.
Looks for the body shots.
Relative to his career overall, this is certainly looking to be one of the toughest fights that Fury's been in.
Yeah, and he is always in great shape. I mean, I always remember fighters like Tim Witherspoon, they were never cut, they never looked in great shape.
Head's going in a bit there. Oh,
McDermott not quite in that league, but the same
that was a clean right.
A bit better from Fury in this, the sixth.
Box better this round, found himself some time and some room. Is that because McDermott has dropped the pace a little bit? Or is he finding answers?
McDermott got real sloppy in that round.
Yeah. Quiet one right there. Quiet round for sure.
Yeah, I think that was for me pretty clear. Oh, the Ricky Williams jersey. Look at that. But yeah, I felt that was a Fury round for sure.
David Tice. Miami.
Back when he was full of promise and excitement.
That's why I've got him creeping ahead. Some of the little stuff that he does inside with the little short left hooks. His own jab. He's got a real short reach compared to Tyson Fury, but he's managed to land his jab consistently. And on those jabs, I've got him just nicking it. Will he win the fight?
He's got Fury ahead. Okay, the big fight odds here, evens, absolute evens.
He did kind of look like R. Kelly last clock. That's funny. With the bandana.
Next 4 rounds down the stretch, all important. McDermott with the experience, Fury with the youth and the ambition and the promise.
Here we go, they're fighting again.
Certainly dropped the pace a little bit in the previous round. The heads coming together there.
Complaining about a low one there.
Just want to give myself a pat in the back. I felt that Valine was going to beat Gassiev, and that did happen. I didn't get to really watch it in its entirety because I was out and about. And I was watching on my phone while I was walking through places. But yeah, shout out to Otto Valine. Gassiev was a big oof, man, that was a nice jab a couple seconds ago. But yeah, Valine, I'd like to see where he goes from here. Definitely one of, like I said before, Europe has so many good quality heavyweights, and Valine's got to be mentioned.
Turned away from McDermott, who comes on with jabs.
Oh yeah.
That's unfortunate because pretty excited for Gassiev when he moved up to heavyweight, but just done nothing really, has he?
Yeah, certainly he's left a lot to be desired, and hopefully we get to see Valine in a big fight because he had that run with Fury in that first fight, and then it's like we didn't get to see him on mainstream television again. Maybe that was by design, but hopefully something changes.
Fury's not having a very good round.
No.
No.
It's the jabs, the double jabs, the right hands. Jesus.
And from the look on his face at times, yeah, it seems that he still hasn't figured out exactly what do I do to stop this guy from coming forward.
Yeah, McDermott there. Looks like one of those old school tough rough fighters. He can't take lightly. Definitely. Like I said earlier, looks can be deceiving. He was a capable boxer and a tough guy.
Super tough.
Maybe it's just me, but Fury is digging himself in such a hole that it'll be surprising as far as what he can do to get himself back in this fight.
Tremendous big punches from both men, bang on the chins. Terrific stuff.
This must have been before he came over to United States and started messing with Stewart.
Yeah, this is his gypsy schooling, I think.
He was going to say, it seems that too many yes men, obviously.
Yeah.
The way he's fighting, I mean, he should not be getting jabbed by this guy. Double jab, that's very embarrassing.
Well, these are kind of arm punches. The Fury at the moment, there's no great leverage.
The big whipped in hook a second ago, sorry.
I got to give it to it. I hadn't seen McDermott, but this has certainly piqued my interest somewhat.
I think this was a typical McDermott performance. He's pretty come forward, throws nice combinations and big shots, and quite accurately as well, as those stats showed.
Makes me want to check out some other stuff for sure.
Maybe the Danny Williams fights. There were some close decisions. Might be worth having a look at. We had some really good domestic fights around this time. These were like my university years, and on a Friday night there was always a fight night. We're having a bit of an issue on our call. Just a second.
Yeah.
What's happened? Been disconnected.
Oh no.
Oh no.
9, 8.
Let's see if we can rejoin.
We'll be back, folks.
There we go. There we go.
They don't want us to see the controversy.
The powers that be. They're like, hey, Fury's fighting Usyk coming up. Cut this crap off.
Yeah.
Right, I need to get rid of one of these. I don't know which one. Kick out. Boom. All
Get
right.
out of here.
We're away. We're in. We're through. Was that round? Oh, I don't know what round we were just on.
7?
Okay, let's continue. And we'll pause.
Near the
after
end of
round
7, or the end of 7.
Okay. Oh, look. Tyson's dad.
Johnny.
Both former heavyweights, the dads. Both from travelling stock. There's similarities, but the gulf in seasoning and experience.
Oh, McDermott is a gypsy as well?
Oh, I didn't realise that, but it sounds like he is, yeah. A fighting man, as they say.
That's where that fighting spirit comes from.
Yeah, definitely after watching this, I would never say this guy was going to be the best heavyweight in the planet.
Yeah, I had some reservations over the years, And then he kept proving us wrong and proving us wrong and proving us wrong. Oh, apologies.
Sweet shot from John McDermott, who's beaten
Sweet shot.
Reed and pushed Mark Krentz close. And I think he has come on from the Danny Williams fights.
Oh, what a shot. Jesus.
A wonderful start to this 8th round.
This is about as stationary as I've seen Tyson Fury in the whole fight. I think
At this rate, this is way more controversial than I remember. This continues.
we wondered before whether this could be that electric.
If you like hard punches landing clearly and snapping the head of an opponent, you're McDermott. If you like flailing shots, occasionally glancing and landing here and there, then you got Tyson Fury winning.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you like Tyson Fury, you have Tyson Fury winning more likely than anybody else.
I heard that Terry O'Connor likes Tyson Fury.
Nick Hennessy. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, you'll see
He's
him.
still around.
Yeah, but very little action. He's there in the bottom right corner.
I think I've seen like one of his kids turn pro recently.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. He I think he might have been like pandemic period, possibly. Oh, the dog's going crazy. I think we got a delivery.
I like that, letting it be known someone's here.
Yeah, Mr. Pads. I actually watched. I think I watched that fight recently, or I watched. I think it was. What was it? There was a time Pacquiao went down, and the referee was doing some weird. I guess how they went about it. I don't know if it was a knockdown or whatever, but basically, the feeling was is that he was probably knocked out at the time, or should have been counted out. And then I know Pacquiao stopped the dude who's saying, but I can't recall exactly. But that referee came out recently and basically said that, yeah, it was like kind of fixed or whatnot for Pacquiao to win that fight. 'Cause after that is when he had that huge explosion, over here in the States.
Right, we'll have a pause there. I need to put my score in.
Yeah, right. I almost forgot.
It's a very interesting fight right here. A very interesting place, as far as I'm concerned. Fury needs to do something to establish himself and put himself in front, and seemingly that would be a knockdown or two.
I think what we'll do is we'll just have a look at our average scorecard, skewed by all of Bozzy's scores. Don't forget, but nonetheless. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll reflect kindly on the fight. Let's have a look then. So, we'll just have a slow scroll. We have an even round first. What?
Oh,
that's a good start. And then a 10-9 for McDermott. 10-9 for McDermott. Another even round in round 4. Brilliant. Round 5 to McDermott, and then Fury and around McDermott the last 2 rounds. So we've got 5 rounds to 1, 2 even. So it could be 7-1, 5-3, 6-2. Any of those.
Interesting.
Any of those. Okay, let's continue on.
Bam, beating his ass.
Okay, into the last 2 rounds. This is 10 round, I've just remembered. So, yeah, I mean, on my card, yeah, Fury needs to pull a
championship rounds, baby.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm very jealous of Josh's background compared to mine. Very, very, very jealous.
Are you good to go? You good to go, bro?
Okay, come on, Fury, do something.
Right. I mean, you'd expect his corner to realistically be telling him that he needs to do something, produce a big shot, score some knockdowns to be in with a shout.
Or they just know he's going to win.
Or they just know he's going to win.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe that's why they took the fight in the hometown, because they knew they had the victory secured.
This has been a fun heavyweight fight.
Interviews beforehand that he was called McDonough, McMuffin, and McMahon by Fury. That angered him. That's fueled the fire.
Even if the skills aren't the best.
Yeah.
No, it's cool to watch because we know what Fury becomes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so maybe there's something you can take from this. Honestly, the fighter I see now, completely different.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, at the very start, you know, that if this decision didn't go his way, what kind of trajectory would have he gone on to have had? Could have been a lot different.
Yeah. Certainly switch up the trajectory somewhat. That would have been very interesting.
It's been businesslike, hasn't it, from McDermott?
Business-like.
Just stayed on Fury all the way through. Just never given him any room. Rocked him up inside. He's met him with the short hooks up close.
It's a little frustrating to watch sometimes. It's just like, what are you doing?
He's backing the much taller man up. McDermott again, Fury glancing at his corner. That lack of knowledge.
Fury has come up with some punches in this round.
It's getting very sloppy. I think they're tiring, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Maybe not the same method. And McDermott's working this round.
Oh, right hand from McDermott.
Oh, two big right hands loaded up.
Momentarily fell that one.
So Mick Hennessy's animated in the bottom right corner.
Oh, okay. So he's okay. I see him.
Yeah,
And a body shot.
he's worried. He's a worried man.
Just has to steady himself.
Oh, you know, he's threatening the referee's family.
Yeah, could be.
What a start we're having to the season, Jim.
Good body work from Fury there
Sold out the previous round, but he's come back.
in that round.
Was it
That
enough,
being
though?
said,
Was it
he
enough?
did take some big shots that were head snapping, but good body work from him.
Man, this is not even close on my scorecard. Nowhere near
Agreed.
close.
Oh, okay. So he. Oh, look, Tony Sims. I didn't know that. Guess I don't pay attention. I think he changed trainers after this fight.
Mm.
Okay.
Being with the what's his name, McCracken.
Yeah, possibly.
Seems like that was a wise move.
On John McDermott. Complicated character, McDermott. Quite religious man. Who likes painting and sculpturing and is intelligent. But is this his ring night?
Boring. No, I'm just playing.
Success story here in Essex.
Jesus
McDermott
Christ.
must be in front, Jim.
So frustrating. Maybe the trainer quit.
He hasn't done enough to win this. They've sent him out to throw big right hands.
Well, McDermott looked like he about to punch himself onto the canvas.
Punches for the last couple of rounds. Full credit to Fury. He's popped the punches out, but not the powerful shots. You need strength and balance to get them off. Nothing wrong with that one, though.
That's a bit better.
All right.
Cut as well.
John ran away.
And he is going for it.
What the fuck is going on?
If you don't want
I
to
see
get
that
hit,
urgency.
run away.
It's reminded me, man. What did you guys think of all those fucking headlocks by Canelo last night?
Okay. Well,
Part of the frustration, when I think he was just because he couldn't quite tie him down to get him in position. Tie up.
Yeah.
Charlo said afterwards that he's gonna put that in his arsenal.
This is not his night. His night will come, says Jim Watt.
Credit where credit's due to John McDermott.
Yeah, competitive round so far.
As a top
Yeah.
domestic force.
I think you had just said it for the last round. Tyson is doing pretty good body work, but they're just not. To me, they're not. They're not effective. They're not stopping anything. They're not forcing him to put his arms down. They're not. They're not. Loud shots. Not 13 shots. Just touching them to the body a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's winning
McDermott
this
looked
round.
spent this round, so
Oh,
that's partially it.
I say Fury's winning this round, and he just gets
Yeah.
absolutely clocked. Flush.
Fury looked like he want to sit down bad. Terrible uppercut. Super heavy.
McDermott is just basically hugging at this point. Like, hey, this is almost over.
Knackered.
This was actually Fury's first 10-rounder. But,
Interesting.
Yeah, it's probably by pretty big step up, really. Big right.
Yep. Should have.
All right, good stuff right there. Good
Look
stuff.
at that. That was the decision there.
Nope.
The referee just goes over to the winner and raises his hand.
Oh,
Oh, yeah?
So if I just rewind.
What the heck? Oh, yeah, so that's one judge.
Look.
Yeah, they still do that, too. I've
Did he
seen
grab the
that.
wrong
They still
hand?
have fights decided by the judge.
That's crazy.
Ref. What the heck?
Frank Maloney's in now, yeah, because Maloney must have been McDermott's promoter.
So they just do it right away, huh?
Yeah, because obviously he's tallying up. He knows what the scores are. So at the final bell, it just literally goes over to the person that won and raises the hand.
Yeah, they usually still announce it, at least these days. So, yeah, he did that in the...
I think they still do an announcement like now at this point, but the ref just goes and raises the hand of the winner straight away, and then they announce the actual scores. I think. Yeah, I mean, they must do.
Not really celebrating Fury. I think he maybe knows he was a shade lucky.
A shade lucky.
Interesting.
I gave him that last round.
I did, too.
It was
I had
close
it a bit
still.
closer than I thought I would.
I did not.
Okay. It was close. Maybe it's because he had slightly more success than I'm used to, so a sympathy vote.
Baz, I did see that Pacquiao Alpito Sanchez. That was it a technical draw, I believe? If I'm not mistaken.
Some of them weren't really powerful jabs, they were more like flicks. And how often was he out jab?
Analysts at ringside, Jim, agree with you, but praise.
Test 98 and after 10 pulsating rounds. Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 pulsating rounds, your referee Terry O'Connor scores the contest 98 points to 92 in favor of your winner.
What?
98,
92.
And
Get the hell out of here.
heavyweight champion Tyson Fury.
That is insane.
Not only did he just raise his hand immediately, but to have it 98-92, that is certainly eye-scratching or head-scratching right there.
And that 10-rounder.
I'm surprised he didn't go and raise his hand after round 8.
The name's McDermott.
Get O'Connell the heck out of here.
What a strange card from Terry O'Connor.
I think this was possibly one of the first of a few Terry O'Connor classics. Look at Hennessy there. He cannot be smiling wider.
Yeah,
No, he's got away with one there.
that's absolutely insane.
So, there we go. Tyson Fury, controversial decision win. Let's just get up our scores. So, okay, we've had a bit of a clean up. So So Boz and Josh had it relatively close. 96, 94. And then myself and Alex that know what we're doing. 92, 98. No, I don't mean that.
Yeah, either way, I think we're all on the same page.
Oh, yeah. Let's have a look at the combined. So I think with Buzzy's other cards out the way, he must have done some different scores because now we don't have a draw anymore over there on round one. So let's get down to the final. There's still 3 even rounds in our combined scorecard with 4 of us in there. Excuse me. But we got McDermott securing 6 rounds, Fury 1, and then the 3 that were fairly even. There's just no ways that Fury won that fight. Let's face it.
Right.
So yeah, I think the thumbnail that I produced for this video, a little bit of a clickbaity thing, but the whole point of this was to go back and score a controversial fight. Well, should this have been Tyson Fury's first defeat and only defeat, And I think the answer to that conclusively should be yes. I don't think there's been another fight where he's looked like he's lost. I can't remember if there's been any close fights of Fury's. Can you think of any off the top of your head?
No.
Because the Wilder ones he should probably have won. I guess they were fairly close, given the knockdowns. But other than that, he's always won convincingly, hasn't he? Even against Klitschko.
Yeah. Yeah. This certainly has a strong case for, a decision being decided before the fight.
Yeah, interesting. So, understandable why it is seen as a controversial one. It's hugely controversial. I think that's probably the most controversial fight we've ever covered, because usually we dispel a bit of a myth occasionally, don't we, where it seems to be closer than the controversy suggests. But I think with this one, this is probably as wide as we've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Would you go with that?
Yeah, I'd argue such for sure. Yeah, because since we've been doing it, a lot of the controversial fights weren't as controversial in many instances, but certainly this one, I think, we're all in agreement that Fury lost that fight, and I think there's no controversy there.
Absolutely. So yeah, obviously we know what Tyson Fury went on to do after this. Obviously he improved a lot from what we've just seen. He went on to avenge this loss. I think he stopped John McDermott in the rematch a couple of fights after this one. So he kind of righted this wrong, but that was a big wrong. So let's move things along then. We've got about 15 minutes or so. Hopefully we'll be done before then. Josh, you and Baz are going to be doing your weekly boxing chit over at 86 Boxing. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're going to jump in there, talk about some of the weekend's action, not unlike what we've done here. Vibe out, maybe talk a little boxing history. Feel free to come through.
Yeah, make sure you head over to 86 Boxing after we finish on this stream. Even if you're not already done so, please go over there and subscribe. And subscribe to us as well, please, if you're enjoying what we're doing. We'll be doing lots more of these in the future. The close and controversial fights from history. So before we get finished up, let's have a quick look what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Let's get some thoughts and predictions of what's coming up. So let's have a look. I am very unprepared for this, by the way. It looks like... what date are we on? Here we are, 1st of October. So Saturday the 7th of October, we have a Japanese card. Don't know if you boys have seen this or are aware of this. And usually these Japanese cards are midweek, aren't they?
Kameda, nice.
Isn't there like 3, 4, 5, 7 Kameda brothers?
Possibly.
Maybe that's the case.
Possibly. Anyway, that's on Saturday the 7th of October. Shall we skip over that one?
Yeah, man, that Lee Wood Josh Warrington fight.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that fight definitely should have been made. Maybe last year, but they they lined up Warrington with Luis Alberto Lopez, and thought it was a close fight. And I felt like Warrington was maybe probably should have been the winner. Like I said, close fight, so it wasn't like too crazy that Lopez did get the decision, but Lopez is carved himself a pretty nice little run as of late. Knocking out Mick Conlon, coming over here and defeating Joey Gonzalez, who has like 14 title challenges. And Lee Wood, man, that Mauricio Lara fight, he was winning, got knocked out, ran it back, and put on a nice boxing clinic himself. So now we go over to the Leeds. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Sheffield. Okay, so it's like middle battlegrounds, right, between Nottingham and Leeds.
Yeah, it's pretty much, directly in between.
I saw that basically half of the stadium, or there's going to be certain seating for the Leeds fans, Warrington, and then certain seating for the Nottingham Lee Wood fans. That's so cool. We don't have that here. They don't ever do that here in the United States. So that's so awesome. Like, you're there with your brethren. And, I like this guy. You like this guy. We're from the same part. It has to be such a cool atmosphere to be there. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it stems from football. Unfortunately, football rivalries over here. When I say football, I mean soccer to you guys. But it's very tribal, and the fans have to be just segregated basically, because it just causes mayhem, especially when you get a rowdy crowd of drunk.
Let's call them passionate
fans. So you say it's really cool. I say it'd be better if it didn't have to do that. But there we go. It should be a good crowd anyway. Like I say, the atmosphere would be really good. Was it the arena? So yeah, it's at the arena, not a stadium, which is probably about right. It probably doesn't warrant an arena. A stadium fight. But it should be a good contest. Who do you see winning, Josh? Give us your thoughts on the fight, and then give us a prediction.
I would say that I think it's a pretty solid fight overall. Both of these guys in a kind of similar place. Both have had success. Took a loss or two, but came back from it. And as far as predictions, I think that Lee Wood, he is probably the best he's been thus far, and I think that will see him through, and he should prevail over Warrington, who I know will be game, and it should make for an interesting contest from an action perspective. Of course, Warrington, he's been able to accomplish and overcome a lot, being a guy who isn't really known for pop or power. That being said, he is always in a fight, and it doesn't mean he can't hurt you to a certain degree. But I just think Lee Wood, he's in probably his best fighting form at the moment, and especially just thinking about what he did last time out, I can see him winning the decision over Warrington, who will be there at the end, I'd imagine, still standing there at the end. But I'm going to tip the nod to a decision on Wood's behalf.
All right. Alex, did you throw a prediction in there?
I didn't, but I think Lee Wood is the better boxer. He has better power. I think Warrington, scrappy guy, however, makes just a lot of fundamental mistakes, leading with his head constantly. It seems that he tries to be an aggressive fighter, but it just, I don't think his what you call it, basically, I don't think he's built for that, to be in that style. So that's why he's been taking, he's been having a couple setbacks. Is because his style and basically I guess genetics, I guess, because he can't crack a damn egg, and he tries to fight an aggressive style. That's just not gonna not gonna go well for you when you're facing guys that do have skills, do have power, do have advantages over you. But the good thing is Warrington's going to come to fight. Lee Wood's going to come to fight. So I think we're going to get a very nice fight. Good product, I should say, in the ring. But yeah, Lee Wood. Fuck it, I'm going to say late stoppage.
All right, stoppage. That being quite impressive, to be fair, because I guess the comment of opponent obviously is Lara. You can't always judge it off that because one beats one and the other doesn't necessarily mean that Lee's going to beat Warrington. But I think you mentioned it, Josh, that Lee Wood seems to be the informed fighter, doesn't he, at the moment, and probably riding that wave, and Warrington seems to be on the decline. Mr. Pad did put into the chat there, you can see that he didn't realise that Lee Wood was 35, thought he was younger. And I guess it's easy to forget that Wood, until the last couple of years, it was pretty much a seasoned fighter. He was just a bit under the radar. He'd taken a few losses, and then he's propelled himself back up a little bit later on into his career, into where he is now.
Yeah,
it's a tough call. Go on, Josh. What are you saying there?
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's noteworthy, and I like to see it because of the fact that we often have certain scripts that can kind of play out in a fighter's career when you factor in the age and all, but you occasionally get those who, when you factor in their experience, they get a little bit older, they tend to fight at their best, and I think that's what the case is here for Lee Wood, and he's being on some televised cards now, really getting some shine, and he's taking advantage of it. Seems like he was pretty much built for the moment from that sense. And here at 35, he looks as good as he's ever looked. It kind of reminds me of, though not exactly the same, but Bernard Hopkins. He's an example of a fighter who was fighting some of his best fights at an older age, so unique in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. For my prediction, I didn't get it out there. Probably shouldn't have said anything because it's a tough call. I think I'm going to have to go with you boys. I think Lee Wood is going to win. I'm not sure if he's going to get the stoppage though. I think he might just edge it on points, which I think could be a pretty decent accomplishment because Josh Warrington comes to fight. He's always he's got a good engine on him. So if you can outpoint Warrington, it's a very good victory. Cool. Okay. Then the undercard to that, let me switch that screen back, is Kieran Conway, 19 wins, 3 losses, and a draw against Linus Udofia. I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, I don't know that. Him, I do not know, but interesting.
He had a loss not long ago against Denzel Bentley.
Oh, okay. Split decision, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Interesting.
And you can see a familiar name on there, Terry O'Connor.
Oh, really?
I don't know whether he had the correct scorecard or not. I don't know, but that's quite a funny coincidence. Kieran Conway's had a few losses. I'm trying to think who he got beat off Ammo Williams last year.
Yeah. I remember that fight.
So yeah, that's an undercard fight. It kind of looks fairly competitive I guess. Hopey Price is also in action. A little bit of hype around him. 11-0. Not a very big puncher though.
All right.
Yeah, long guy, especially for the weight.
Okay, 5'8.5". A good name, Drago, because he's named Ivan, which is interesting. Okay, let's move on from that one. I think it's
Harper Breakus. That's interesting, though. I like Terry Harper in that fight.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, Breakus is coming back out of retirement or whatever it may be,
of course,
or whatever it was considered to be. But yeah, I like Terry Harper. She looks like she's been in top form in training and in good shape. So
yeah, decision. She had a win not too long ago, was it? Yeah, just earlier this year. Manchester Arena. That would have been on the undercard of a big fight. I can't think what it was. So was that a Terry Harper decision, you think, there, Josh?
Yeah, I think so. Decision, stoppage, potentially, but I'm going to lean more decision. I think Breakus, even just kind of coming back off of this, she hasn't been stopped, so it'll be a interesting contest, and we'll see how the weight holds are there at 154. But Harper's looked pretty solid at 154 thus far.
Mhm. You any thoughts on that one, Alex, at all?
I've never seen Breakers fight, so fortunately, no.
No problem. Okay. That same night then, over in the States, we have yes, Zurdo Ramirez against Joe Smith Jr. Interesting. Alex, give us some thoughts, mate.
Yeah, man. If you recall, Zurdo was supposed to have a fight with Gabriel Rosado at 175 pounds for some reason. You know, Gabriel Rosado, if you recall, was a 154 pounder. Moved up to 160, fought Gennady Golovkin. Moved up to 168, fought Danny Jacobs. And also, he fought many names at 160, Peter Quayle and David Lemieux. So he's been around the old chipping block. And Gilberto Ramirez, they said he was like almost 20 pounds overweight. He tried to make weight, came in like 13 pounds over at the weigh-in, and so announced he was going to move up to cruiserweight. And they bring Joe Smith. We haven't seen him since Joe Smith got knocked out. I want to say last year, June.
Yep. June last year. Yeah, correct.
Okay, and so this is going to take place at a catch weight, 193 pounds, 192 pounds. Really interesting to see exactly, how these fighters are going to look at that weight. I mean, if you recall, they say Gilberto Ramirez, they say rehydrates to like 200, 210 pounds.
Yeah.
So he probably is walking around when he's not in fighting shape, probably like 220, 230, right? Joe Smith, big puncher, top rank, ran the storyline of him being a construction union worker into the fucking ground, which he hasn't done. He hasn't done that in like many moons. He like owns his own tree cutting business.
Yeah.
But they stayed on it. Big puncher, like I said, guy comes to fight. Gilberto Ramirez, guy that comes to fight. So hoping for fireworks. It's gonna be for me. It's gonna be easier to say Gilberto's gonna win, and I can see the referee or doctor or corner stopping this fight probably in the late rounds just because inactivity. I don't think. Yeah, I look at inactivity as a reason why fighters don't look good and reason why guy that doesn't usually get stopped or maybe gets a lower quality uh, opposition, they don't look good and or get stopped again. So yeah, Gilberto TKO.
All right, Josh, what's your thoughts, predictions on that one?
Yeah, interesting. But to highlight what Alex was mentioning, I know it was one of Zurdo's early 175 fights. I believe it was Sullivan Barrera. Between the weigh-in and fight time, he had put on 29 pounds. So this is a huge guy. He had to be killing himself, I'd imagine, to make 168. And of course, already he's been struggling mightily since he's moved up to 175. So cruiserweight is probably where he should realistically be. And Joe Smith Jr., he's a big puncher there at 175. It'll be interesting to see how he looks with this extra added weight. But generally, I think that Ramirez, he's a guy that has fought with volume. So it should make it interesting for Joe Smith, who could at any point land something. But that being said, he's been out. And I think with that last fight, there was thoughts maybe even surrounding him being done. And when that is the case, then you kind of never know as far as what the look and feel is going to be like when they're back in the ring. So I would lean Zurdo, assuming he makes weight for this contest, even though it's at a catch weight of 193, and you would think that should help him out. But we still have to kind of wait and see as far as whether or not he's actually going to make weight here. But assuming he does, then that would tell me that at least he had some form of a decent camp. And if he fights of old with the volume, then yeah, I like him taking a decision or potentially a late stoppage, just depending on the overall mindset and conditioning that Joe Smith himself is in. But I do like Zurdo as well.
All right. I think I'll make that a clean sweep as well. I think he's probably going to win. I think I'd go with late stoppage as well, to be honest. I think he just might have too much. Joe Smith, I think he's on the slide. Joe Smith Jr. I think he peaks at the Canelo fight, and anything else now is just a bit of a bonus, isn't it, really, for him? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's a bit more hungry than that. But yeah, I see Zurdo winning this one. And then hopefully more bigger fights out there in the future. So I think we can wrap up there for this one. I know that there's some fights on the following weekend, but I'll get your boys' opinions on that and put out some videos on our predictions for those fights. There's Tim Tszyu and there was another one out there I just saw, which I can't remember now.
Johnny Beck.
Johnny Beck is back in action. Our favourite, our favourite Asian fighter. I don't know. So yeah, let's wrap things up there. It's been a fun fight to cover. Apologies that we've not been live streaming for pretty much a month now, but we are back. Hopefully, we'll be regular again from here on in. And I think Alex is going to have to do some research about what fights we're going to be covering in the not too distant future. Is that correct, Alex?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll cook something up. Got plenty on the list.
Perfect. All right. So if you enjoyed our stream today, please do subscribe. Please hit the like button as well on this video. It will really help us. And if you know any other boxing fans that might be interested in this content, please let them know about it as well. The more the merrier. I thank you all for being here. Make sure that you go over to 8-6 Boxing. Now Josh and Boz are going to start on their Boxing Chip podcast, so head on over there for some more boxing talk, and we will see you all again in a couple of weekends time. Follow us on X/Twitter and keep an eye out on the information about the next live stream time and the actual fight that we're going to cover. And hopefully we'll see you all there in a couple of weekends. Thank you very much.